Hello everyone, it's Christine here and I am back to finish my Roxy Journal of Stitchery, the piece that is capturing lazy summer days of my childhood for my Field Notes journal. So in the previous video, which I'll link to, I did this lovely little dandelion puff and these little daisies over here. So for tonight we're going to be, or whatever time of day it is for you, we're going to be working on this blackberry. So this is out of the 1800s designs for embroidery from the Briggs patent catalogue, which is in the public domain. Again, I'll just link to the details of that and the stitch along that I am doing with a lovely community of folks that anyone is free to join as well. So while I was in the car today going on our beautiful picnic, which I will tell you about, I was stitching the leaves and stitching the French knots for the blackberries, and then this afternoon I have been adding the beading to it, in fact just before actually, so more this evening. So I'm going to be using this lovely vintage green mile end crochet cotton. It's on a wooden spool. It is gorgeous and the thread's gorgeous. Using this black, it's an anchor pearl cotton number 8, using this blue, which is a Finca number 8, and then using this white crochet cotton that I hand dyed with my Inktense, and it's the perfect colour for those little flecks you get in blackberries, which are the sort of the more ruby red, or the bits where they haven't fully ripened or sort of starting to merge into the purple, and it's just worked fabulously. Now it is night time, so I'm not sure how well you can see, but what I will do is just bring you down so you can hopefully see in a bit more detail what these little blackberries look like. It is hard to properly show you, but they've got blue, they've got black, they've got that mixed colour, and then they've got the little beads. And so I'm using these sort of opalescent beads that you can see there. I've got them in my little bead tray, but I thought we'll start first of all with the leaf, and this is that lovely leaf that's got a little munch mark out of it. So I've pre-threaded my needles to make it faster. And we'll also do this stem here, which I did with a whipped backstitch. But for these, because the crochet is quite thick, I can just do a regular backstitch and just do smaller stitches where I kind of need to navigate around. Now I should bring you out, otherwise we are absolutely going to go off camera and you don't need to see my thumb quite that big. That would be a bit horrifying. So yes, we went on a lovely picnic today to a place called Blue Rock Dam. If I end up having to edit down this video, I will put some footage of us there. We went on a bit of a walk as well as had a picnic. But a funny thing happened. Just after we arrived, I had gone off to go to the bathroom facilities. I'd already walked down the hill from where we'd parked our car to where a picnic table was and laid out our picnic table cloth, because I always like to take something to put over the public tables, and we usually put a towel on the seat as well, just so that if there's any grunge we don't get it on our clothing. And I'd put our cooler bag with our goodies for lunch, which I'd pre-packed a picnic at home. So I'd done that, and then I'd left Alex with Travis to bring him down to the picnic table, and I'd said, yep, I'll be back soon. Anyway, I went over, and as I was walking back, I noticed the ground was sort of quite soggy in parts. It was on a slope leading down to where the lake or the dam is. And as I got back to the table, Alex had he was sitting at the table and had a really funny expression on his face. And it was almost like he was laughing at me. And I thought, oh, are you laughing at me because I'm walking kind of carefully? I had sandals on for the first time. It was such a warm day today that I got the sandals out rather than fully covered shoes. And I was just walking carefully so I didn't kind of get any of the squidginess up into the sandal, as it were. And I thought, oh, are you laughing at me because of that, Alex? But then he stood up, and I saw that he had mud all the way down one leg on the front. He had it on the back. He had it on his bottom. He had it on his hands. It was all over the dog's lead. It was all over the dog's bottle of water. It had somehow made it onto the tablecloth. So poor Alex, as he was coming down towards the table, had come to a particularly slippery bit, which I didn't encounter, and had gone over, as Alex says, like a sack of potatoes, I think was how he described how he went over. Luckily, he saw the humour in it. He was having a very good laugh about it. And because we're by a nice freshwater lake, he just went down, and we always have extra sort of little hand towels and things to use to dry Travis down. If he only needs a small dry, we use a hand towel. Otherwise, we have a bigger towel. So Alex went down and sort of washed the mud off his jeans and off his top, and then hung his top out sort of to his extra top. He had like a vesty thing on over the top. And a t-shirt underneath, so I hung the vesty thing out to dry. And luckily, because it was such a beautiful sunny day, it wasn't a problem at all. His jeans were already sort of dry by the time we were leaving there, and he wasn't cold or anything. I did offer him, because I had put on this morning a lovely summer dress, but then I'd put a cotton sort of jumper over the top of it and a pair of leggings underneath it, layering up as we tend to do in Melbourne. And so I'd offered my leggings to Alex because figured at least maybe that way if he wanted to change out of his muddy jeans, but he's like, no, I'll be fine. I did say he could always wrap a towel around himself as well. We just put a towel on the seat in his car because he's got a brand new car, and so didn't want his beautiful new leather seats to get ruined. He was joking that we were going to have to put him in the boot, and I'd have to drive home because he was so muddy. So that was funny. You've got to find the humour, and as he says, it's a memorable day. Because it was grand final day, but we're not big football followers. I don't really follow it at all. Alex does have a team, but he's not and his team wasn't playing, and he isn't a mad sports watcher either. So it was the perfect chance to go down there. But we were amazed. There were quite a lot of people down there, but plenty of room for everyone to spread out. But there were even kids canoeing and swimming. Travis had plenty of swims. Alex had a bit of a spush around because he had to wash it off. And just had a beautiful picnic lunch. I just packed some cheeses and some meats and some biscuits and some fruits, and then a little plate of lovely sweet goodies. And it's just it's so lovely to get out, and just it makes you feel like you've had a really good break. And because this was a long weekend, we had the Friday off too. It feels like I've had an entire weekend, but I've still got Sunday tomorrow. Although when you're watching this, it will probably, I guess I'll only maybe put it out Sunday night, because I've got my stitch along tonight, which I am so looking forward to. So here I'm following the very sort of broad design that I drew, but there's points like now when I'm just going to add an extra little sort of little jaggedy bit into the leaf that I can't see in the bit that I drew. And I haven't actually got the design out in front of me, so I am just sort of doing it the way more from eye than from a specific design. But I'd traced all these on using my friction marker. Just want to get a few more little jaggedy bits in. But this one will be then sitting up against where a blackberry is, so I probably don't even need to stitch too much more down to the bottom of that, I don't think, because that blackberry will be there and then the branch will be there. So I might just come down and just do maybe I'll bring the leaf down here, and then I can do the branch sort of next to it. So I hope you're having a lovely weekend. Hope those of you with a long weekend have had a nice time, and really thinking about those in the US that are being impacted by the extreme weather over there. Just thinking about you all. It's just sounds and looks, from the few things I've seen on the news, just looks horrifying. So now I'll come up the middle of the leaf. So I've got a very broad, I might just redraw it slightly, and just so you can kind of see what I'm working to. I think I've got this sort of the stem bit of the leaf coming around there. I'll sort of like that. Again, with these designs, you can just, yeah, you can see where your stitching wants to take you. Could have done that with Y stitches, but I'm just doing straight stitches. So I get a nice sharp line, and this is with my friction marker, so any texture that's, or not, any marker that's left on there at the end will erase with heat. And I've got my iron turned on in readiness. So I'm hoping I can get all of this done in one hour slot. I think so. I don't think it should take too long unless I get knots when I'm doing my French knots where I don't want my knots. Really pleased with this crochet thread. It's so lovely. Not only does it look lovely on its wooden reel, and I will be sad when it finishes. I might have to leave the last little bit on it, I don't know. But in some ways also it's lovely to use these vintage threads, because then you know that something that someone else treasured is actually being used. I should have a tiny little bit of that sort of stemmy bit come over that way to where the nibble mark is in the leaf. Yeah, my poor finger, I keep bashing where I've got that little cut and it keeps reopening, so I just put the needle there, so, oh sorry, not the needle, the band-aid there, so I wouldn't keep banging it. So now I'll just travel my thread back to the start of the leaf and I'll do the stem. So as you can see, I've got that lovely fabric underneath, which is just sort of shining through, which I love. I love one day if someone sort of, yeah, takes it apart or looks behind it, they'll be able to see the other fabric. So the stem is coming up here, so I'm just going to probably just do, yeah, I'll do one stitch there and then I can wrap it. So with the stems, yeah, I'm just doing a wrap back stitch to give that sort of stemmy effect. And that will remove any of the little sort of pivots. It gives you a nice continuous look. Notice that blackberry's got its sort of little frondy bits on it. Probably do that just with 2 stitches. One to there. It's like those little bits you get at the bottom of the blackberries. I haven't done them. I think actually that one's meant to have one there as well. Can always come back and do that after. And this just goes up to a little spiky bit. Another spiky bit over here. Then another little bit going up from here. And then we'll come back and do some whipping. I think that's just like a tiny little bit of blackberry, so we'll just do a few little knots like that's a little blackberry starting out. So for the whipping, I pop up next to one of my stitches, and I might do it this way. I take my needle, and it is useful to use the eye end of the needle just so you don't jab your thread and get your needle stuck in it. And so when I get to the end of a little run, I'll take my needle into the back. So as you can see, that's just given a lovely sort of smooth surface. I'll probably only whip from, I think, this little V up here. And I can go through with this end of my needle. I think it will be okay. But yeah, if you're having problems, in fact I am having problems because it is picking up the fabric underneath. Ouch. And you sometimes have problems where you poke yourself if you do it this way. So see which works for you. Just going to take my thread down. You can sometimes do 2 wraps if you wanted a bit more. I think I did 2 wraps on some parts of that. Just doing a single wrap. These stitches weren't too big, and so I'm at the end of a run, so I'm going to take my needle to the back, and then I'll just come down and whip this little one down here. I just put 2 through this one, so it's a tiny bit thicker. So when you're whipping, you're just putting your thread underneath your other thread. It's not going through the fabric at all, apart from when you're anchoring it down like that. So that's the green done. Yeah, unless I want to come back over here later, but I'll keep my piece of green and I can do that afterwards. Now we can get on to French knotting, and I have pre-threaded my needles, so hopefully that will make it go fast. Let me just put that one up there. I'm using chenille needles and a Milanese needle for the beading, but chenille needles for everything else. So we can start maybe with our blue. So these are where I've got my blackberries drawn. I don't have to like stick exactly to the design. I'm just using that for the broad shape. I'm doing either 2 or 3 twists for my French knots, and then holding the thread as I pull it through. Hopefully I haven't made my thread too long, because sometimes you do get knots and have problems, but we'll see how we go. I didn't hold that one, but luckily it didn't go too loosey-goosey. Good thing is that we're adding lots of French knots, so if there is any loosey bits or any weird bits, I can just add a stitch over the top. Because as you can see with these, you just get such lovely sort of raised texture. So with the colours, because I'm going for a variety of colours mixed in, I'm just sort of scattering them around. I will add more blue. I just sort of start working my way around, dividing them up. So I'm doing 3 wraps on some, 2 on others. Because again, with the blackberries, you'll find some bits of them are sort of bigger and more swollen. That's why I love the beads, because it gives that really sort of swollen juiciness to them. I do like to have a surface like a padding under them. Even in the car, I just had my stitching bag, which is that lovely yo-yo bag I got from the Embroiderers Guild D-Stash. So I had that sitting underneath me just so I could kind of push the needle into them. I got a little knot there, but I was able to untangle it. And yeah, I've got my carpet squares, which I got from the reverse art truck on my desk. They're not wool though, I just have to be careful not to use my iron directly on them, alas. But they do provide a good surface. I'm hoping my old dining table will fit in this craft room and I'll be able to use that, because that'll be a lovely solid surface. This is just like a plasticky sort of picnic type table underneath here. I think it will give me even a bit more depth on the desk as well, which will be great. Might even be able to put that beautiful wooden sewing kit at the back of the table, have it near the windowsill. Might be good. So I might keep, while I've got the blue, I'll just keep moving around and do some of the ones up here for this blackberry. You don't get sick and tired of watching me doing the French knots. Hopefully you're stitching away on something. Let me know in the comments what you're what you're working on. And you can also always post something in the little Facebook group for Slow Stitching Friends, which is where we're posting our stitch along pictures. But I'm always happy to see anything that you're stitching. My only thing would be no flogging or selling of things. No, it's just really about sharing things. I know some groups have trouble with people sort of, just coming in and spamming with sales and things, so obviously don't want to bother people with that. That said, I've seen beautiful, beautiful little packs that the lovely Sally from Dotty B has been putting together, and was watching last night the lovely Sew Bits Christy, who is a YouTube maker as well, and she had received a lovely package from Sally. They'd done a bit of a swap of goodies, and such beautiful things. And Sally collects up all these amazing vintage tins and things. Lucky for me, for keeping me from buying. Sally is in the UK, so I figure that's a bit of an impediment to postage costs. So I just look at her goodies and buy them rather than buying them. I think I heard Christy actually say, "Oh, I've got so many doilies. I'll never need to buy any more doilies." So we'll see if you stay true to that, Christy. I know I can't resist a sweet doily. I was actually just messaging with Christy before and just saying I've got it in my mind to turn this particular tablecloth I got recently. I think I got it on Facebook Marketplace with beautiful, quite vivid embroidery on it into a sort of a little blousey top, sort of maybe going with like a poncho sort of style to make a blouse. I don't have a sewing machine, so it'll be all hand stitched. And I've just got it, you know how sometimes you get an idea in your head and you're just itching to stitch. I think I said that in one of my other videos. But yeah, I'm just itching to kind of give it a go. I haven't really done beyond doing some clothing making at school when we were doing sort of a sewing class, and I didn't totally love the experience making. I think I made a little blouse back then, but it was all very precise, and I don't think I like the precise. I think I like figuring things out. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes, but I will share it unless it's a total disaster. If you never hear anything of it again, then no, I'll probably still tell you about it anyway, even if it all goes all right. Now I've got a little knot here, so let's see if we can fix it before I need to pull it through. What's going on here? What's happened? It's because my thread got twisted. I should have actually, there we go, we've fixed it. But what I'm going to do is just let my needle spin around. I've just hung it upside down so that it spins around, takes the tension out, and hopefully that will avoid the knotting that occurred. So I've still got quite a few other projects as well. I think I'd say that to Christy as well. I really should be actually finishing those other projects. Or was that? No, I think it was actually in reply to Annie I was saying that. Should be finishing the other projects. But no, I've got a bee in my bonnet to create this sort of blouse or top. I've been really wanting to, try my hand at like a whole dress out of either one or maybe combining some tablecloths to make a sort of vintage embroidered style dress, but I thought maybe a blouse is the way to start simple, work some things out about necklines and things. So I'm sure it will probably be a bit bodgy, but I think I will still like it. And it's really just to wear with summer dresses and things, with particularly strappy things where you might just want a nice cover. But I thought the particular design on the tablecloth I'm thinking of using would be lovely for sort of, Christmas as well. And those little Christmas gatherings and things that you might go to. And I do need to, because I've got quite pale skin, I need to keep it covered away from the sun. So I thought it could work well. I'm just pondering whether I sort of structure it on the straight fold or have it sort of coming down into a V shape by having it sort of folded on the diagonal. All will be revealed. I'll probably film a video with my plans and then go away and cut it, and then kind of share some bits along the way. Now, I probably can't really get any more than one more French knot in with this thread, and I'll need to tie it off on the back. But I feel like I might need a tiny bit more blue. Just to my orts jar. Yeah, I'll just get a tiny bit more blue, I think. Oops, that's a tiny bit itself. Okay. Oh, there's a bead that has escaped. Okay. I suppose I need to put a few little, maybe a single knot up on that tiny one up the top as well. Travis is so tired, he is sleeping right outside my craft room. Thought he was downstairs with Alex, but I came out before and he was laying on the floor in the dark. So I've left the door open and he's just sleeping away. I can always come back in with more blue if I need it, but generally once you kind of add the other colours in, it fills up enough. Oops, and I've got a knot trying to form. Okay, and then I'll pop over here, pop another one in, and then we'll just come up to this one. Oops. Then I'll just put some single little knots in here. Single twist, because being a smaller one, the little berries on it, the little sort of nodules on it would be smaller to begin with. So just single twists. Just do 3, I think. And then we'll come back in with the black. Or maybe I'll do... No, I think that's enough actually. And then do I want to come over here and do any more in here? I'll just put another couple. Put one up here. Pop over here, put one down there. Oops, I could feel a knot. I was like, that doesn't feel like the thread came through as far as I thought it should. Okay. So my back sides are definitely not embroidery doily worthy, but that's okay because this is being backed onto a backing piece. So now I'll grab my black crochet, which I've got pre-threaded and knotted. I'm living and learning. Don't want to waste your time having to watch me thread things up. There'll probably always still be a bit of that because there's the odd time like just before where you need to get a bit more. Then again, you might think watching me do all these French knots is like watching paint dry, in which case you've probably turned off. So yeah, we're lucky that the Blue Rock Dam is about an hour and 10 minutes from where we are. We came through a really beautiful scenic mountain route, and then the other way coming home we went sort of a more direct way back onto the main road. lovely rolling lush countryside, hence why it was probably damp in the spot where Alex took his slide, did his mud wrestling, solo mud wrestling. I said to him, did anyone come over to help you, like of the other picnickers? And he said no, but I think they were just having a laugh. And for it to happen to Alex, because normally he's the one, I don't mind actually a bit of mud and stuff. Obviously prefer not to fall into mud, but it doesn't really worry me. Like if it gets on, if I'm out walking or bushwalking or something and I get it on my pants, sort of if it flicks up. But Alex is usually the one that tries to avoid the mud and the dirt. Speaking of childhood memories, I remember I went up to the farm where my best friend at primary school, her parents had sort of a holiday hobby sort of farm where they'd go to for weekends and things, and went up with her one time, but their car broke down as we were going in. Or maybe it didn't break down, maybe it got bogged, because I remember we both Emma and I, we were quite the tomboy. Now, I don't know if that's the correct term that we would use in today's parlance, but that was certainly what we were referred to back then, tomboy. And we both took our shoes off and had our feet and were squiggling them in the mud outside the car door. I just have this really, really firm memory of that, and just loving it and having such a fun time. Okay, we've got a knot, which is not such a fun time for the sewist. Probably again I should have been untangling my thread, but let's see if we can troubleshoot it. If not, we can always try and do something after the fact. Oops, I've got a slightly bobbly bit. If we need to, what we're going to do is pop through. Oops, I've got something happening at the back too. What is happening here? Problems upon problems. We've got knots at the back, we've got knots at the front. So now we've got untangled knots at the back. Let's see if we can come through, and I am just going to pick up this one that has become loose, and I'm going to twist it around a bit and then anchor it down, and then we'll just be able to place some additional knots on the top of it without a problem. So yeah, this same friend and I, we used to love to climb trees, do all those things. And because my brother was only 18 months older than I always wanted to kind of tag along with him. But I remember one time we were having a sleepover at the same farm for a birthday party for Emma, who was my best friend in primary school. And her dad dressed up as a gorilla and came tapping on the windows while I think we were watching some sort of gorilla movie, like maybe King Kong or something, on the video back then. And he came around the house tapping on the window in this gorilla suit and then running around the house, and we were all screaming. And yeah, lots of fun memories. They come back when you're stitching. These projects are little sort of memory generators. So I'm just sort of filling in, but we're going to also come in with that sort of pinky, variegated, purpley thread. So I don't want to fill up the entire space. So now I will jump over to this one over here. It's a bigger one, so I'll probably do 3 wraps for most of the black here. Yeah, there was a river on that farm. I think my mum's still on her mantelpiece at home has this little fish-shaped, it was like a piece of quartz or some other coloured rock on another piece of rock, but the piece that was sort of affixed to the rock was in the shape of a fish. And I was kind of convinced it was a fish fossil, which it wasn't. But Mum happily put it on her special mantelpiece where she keeps all sorts of goodies from us. Including a beautiful blue carved from a blue rock carved cat that I got in Egypt, which I thought Dad would like, and I went to post it back at the post office over there, and they have the antiquities police who said, no, you can't post this back, it's an antiquity. But the weirdest thing was I'd bought it in a market, so essentially in a market store where they had all sorts of carved things, and I was pretty sure they were just being kind of mass produced for the tourists. They didn't have ones exactly identical to it, but I thought it was just a store where they were making things in current time. But no, the antiquities police said no, this has to remain in Egypt, so you can't post it back home. So instead, I carried it for the rest of my my trip with me, and happily was able to pass the border with it and brought it home. I am convinced it wasn't an antiquity, but a funny story all the same. It certainly wasn't priced like you would expect an antiquity. It was something that me, as my little backpacking self, was happily able to purchase for what would probably be like maybe $1 or a few dollars Australian. So maybe, who knows, maybe one day I should take it to a museum or something and get them to look at it. Or maybe sometimes the idea, the not quite knowing, is half the fun. I've got a great little Thrifty Thursday video to make, actually, with a fun little story along those lines, actually. Again, I have to remember to leave enough room to come in with the pink, but the good thing with the French knots is you can kind of nestle others in. It's a bit like when you do punch needling, like I've done for some of my texture pieces. You find that there's still little sort of gaps where you can nestle things in. It might look from the surface like it's all filled in, but you can come back in and add more. I need to put some extra stitches. I don't think the drawing extended up this far, but I'm just sort of following where my eye wants to see the berry. Oops, probably going to need to get some more black soon too. Oops, I've managed to actually unthread that on the back, so I might just finish that off if I can thread it quickly. Tie that off. I'll grab a bit more of it. Going okay for time, I think. I think we're going to have enough time to finish these off, including the beading. With the beading, I'm just doing a single stitch through because this isn't going to get much wear and tear. It's not like it's on a piece of clothing or anything. It's just going to be on a standing display. Oops, if you ever have sort of resistance when you're pushing your needle through, you can just kind of angle it a different direction to make sure it's not going to get caught on a knot or something. Just check the time as well. I think it's only 8:19. I have to be stopped filming by 9:30 when the premiere of the Stitch Along starts. That one was slightly more bobbly, but I'll probably just be able to actually stitch it down like that, and then I'll put another stitch over here. Again, I met a bit of resistance pushing that one through, so I'm going to just angle that way. I'll just come in and put the ones in the middle here. think because this is such dense sort of stitching, having it in the hoop does help to hold the fabric nice and taut. Okay, I'll leave those spots there for the other thread to go in, I think. And then we'll come over here. Oops. Got a notch again, probably our thread has sort of become a bit twisted. What's happening here? Can we unthread it, fix it up in the process? Should have just done let my needle sort of twisty in between. What has happened here? Can we? Or are we going to have to, might just have to snipperoo that bit off. Snipperoo that bit off. Hopefully, yeah, that bit's the bit attached to our thread. So I might just leave that to the side. I might even actually stitch over that with my next little stitch that comes through. Oops, I haven't got a knot in the end of this one though, have I? I just thought I'll stick with what I've got threaded on the needle. But I might even be able to anchor this one down just with this stitch. Probably should take this one to the back because it is probably going to get in my way. What have I got? Have I got another? Or is that one going to be too small? Nope. Okay, I'll just get rid of this one onto the back, I think, and knot it down. Just get rid of that. Okay, we've got our existing thread. Doing 3 wraps so it quickly fills up the area. I feel like I need to put a few more around this way just to get a nice shape. Again, I'm just putting the knots where I think they need to be, not necessarily where the design had them, and maybe one more in there. And then hopefully I will have enough thread just to add probably 3 more to this tiny little one up the top. Well, I did that one as a double, but I don't think that'll be a problem. It's just giving a sense of a tiny blackberry forming up here. Probably should have actually done this with the lighter colour thread, because if it was only small, unless this one had been eaten away and there was just a tiny bit left by the birds, maybe that's what it is. Okay, it's done, and then let's get our variegated pinkly purpley ready. It was like it was a perfect blackberry accent colour thread. I don't think I was thinking of blackberries when I did my intense block dyeing of regular cotton. So I'll probably just do 2 wraps for these slightly lighter colours, because they will be a bit more bit more prominent, but don't worry if they look weird at first. You will see that it all works. Because you do get those little lighter coloured specks on the blackberries. Those little nodules that haven't gone as dark. Start through with all of the, just close my scissors, they were splayed out. We put 5 of these little colours on here. I like this, the thread that I had dyed because it graduates through the colours pretty quickly. Now we're into the more the purpley colours. Oh, pricked my finger. Thankfully I didn't swear. Still grateful I've never done that on a video. Well, I hope I haven't done it on the video and not known, but I don't think I have. Have to make sure I don't get blood on my piece because there's a little bit coming out of that finger. Should start bringing band-aids in and putting them in my little stand in the craft room. Oh, there, I think it's okay. It was only a little pin prick, a little needle prick. So yeah, we've got the sort of more beautiful purpley colours here. So I could have distributed the pinks a bit more around, but we'll get some more pink, I think, a bit later with it. So now we're almost into a bit of the reddy maroony colour, which would be nice. So I'll hop over here and put a few of the reddy maroony ones in here. Oops, that one came out a bit more bobbly, but that's okay, because I'll be putting the beads on top anyway, so that will anchor some of it down. Yeah, I just think these are the perfect colours for blackberry accents. I'll chuck one of these little reddy ones up here, I think. It's almost purpley again, so it's already graduated through the red. And it's a bit purpley, so I'll put another one there too as well. Maybe another little one up here. Again, do what your eye pleases, or what pleases your eye, I reckon. And then I'll jump over here. Well, I already had the purples there, so maybe I need to put a few of the purples in this one. See, that's where a gap is sort of in the stitching, and you only see it when you kind of pop up through it. Now we're coming back into the more pinky colours. So I'll put some of those over here, I think. Well, that one disappeared right in. Probably need to do 2 wraps. Just gives a real realism to these little berries, I think. Over here and put a little pinky one in as well, unless it's changed colour. Nope, it's still got pinks. And I might even put a little pinky one up the very top up here. It's a little bit of jumping around, but that's okay. So I think that's probably enough for the coloured bits, unless I want a bit more red over here maybe. Until we get to the reddy, we'll go through the purple first, I think. Yeah, and I think that's probably fine actually, because we are going to be putting the beading on top. So I think that is actually a tiny bit of my little finger prick blood on the underside here, which is probably fitting because when you pick blackberries you do also get prickles, and you do get a bleeding finger as well as fingers stained with the blackberry juice. So now on to the beading. And I've got my milliner's needle threaded with just some regular black cotton. Put these to the side. And so we're just going to pop through at various intervals and put these little beads on. And as I said, I'm not going to do double stitching through them like I would normally do on beading if it's going to have a bit of wear and tear on it, if it was on a pouch or something like that, or a piece of clothing. Not that I do clothing, but who knows, in the future I might be beading flowers onto tablecloths that I convert into clothing. We'll see how that adventure goes. I'm excited about it though. Isn't it nice to have something that you get really excited and inspired about? I kind of feel sorry for people that don't have like this stitching or something like it that can really get them fired up. Get them itching to do something. Such a blessing, it really is. To find your thing and to find your tribe. Wow, that's all I can say. Wow. So yeah, these little beading dishes, I got this randomly in a thrifty stash, but they do such a good job, and thank you to the person that told me what this little mysterious triangle dish actually was. I've probably seen people using them, I just hadn't put two and two together. And I probably never, if I hadn't got it just in a little, thrifty bag of goodies, I probably would never have got around to actually buying one for myself. But they do make it very easy to get the beads. So I just keep a tin of a whole lot of mixed beads. Let me see if I can show you without spilling them everywhere. It's just a lovely little French candy tin. And so I just keep a mixed, and then when I need them, I just sort of get out with my needle the ones that I need. I could, of course, have all my beads sort of sorted out, but I just like to have a mixed tin because I can have that right by my surface area and be stitching. I was looking at some bigger beads in this same sort of colouring, but they would have just looked too big on the blackberry, so I went with this smaller side. I want the bead to kind of nestle in a bit. I'm just going to give that a bit of nestling. Okay, I've got 8 minutes, so I think we're gonna get it done. So as you can see, hopefully you can see the beads just start to make it look really, really blackberry-like. Just gives you that really beautiful glistening effect. Again, if you find a point where the needle won't go, just sort of re-angle your needle and I'm sure it will work for you. I think that's enough beads on that one. And we'll pop over here. Some of the beads have a slightly more greeny tinge to them, but I think it's just, kind of how they get caught by the light. But again, that kind of works because with the blackberries almost have that shine and that reflective surface that might reflect the colours around them of the leaves. I do find this is a very versatile little bead colour. Not sure what it's called even. Most of my beads are vintage beads again, so. And as I say, these ones are just in a mixed container. So you could probably do these blackberries entirely from beads, but I do like the mixture of different threads, thread colours, and then the beads just as the accents. I just hope in this light that you can see it, but I'll make sure the photo for this video is taken in the day tomorrow. Can I randomly get one on, or do I need to actually focus on which one I'm going to put on? That's a more bluey coloured one. Just love how they're getting that sort of raised surface up from the piece. See if I can find a tiny little one to nestle into this blackberry. Some of them are very small. That one's quite small. I don't even know if that will fit on my needle. Well, that one's a tiny one too. Yeah, that's good. And maybe we'll put one more up here. Always feel I need to probably do 3. Where's another tiny one? That one's almost a grey colour. That could be good. It's a slightly hard bit to push the needle through, so I'll just re-angle it, as I say, and then yeah, I just want to nestle that one down a bit into it. There we go, perfect. So I just pop back up, make sure it's nice and tight, and then come back down, and I think that's pretty good. Now we can just give it a quick iron and take off the any residual friction marker and have a look at how it all looks. So let me put that beading needle away. Let me put my beads out of the way. So it is going to be mounted on the card, but we can give it, I'm going to just lay something on my surface so that I can iron on it. Oops, and try not to knock my beads over. I have knocked my little scissors off, so you'll just see my iron right over the top of the beads. The iron's kind of been resting, so it just needs to re-warm up. Just turn it over and do it that way, just to be safe on the beads. Enough to give you a look at how it's looking, although that's still got its little imprint around it. So come on, iron, do your thing. So it's probably doing all sorts of weird things to the camera light. It's pretty good. I'll give it another iron afterwards, but that is my piece with the lovely dandelion. I will just bring it up a little bit, zoom you out a little bit. Hopefully you can see it okay. And then that's our beautiful blackberries. But yeah, I love the daisies, love the dandelion puff, love the little butterflies, love the writing, and so that will be going onto a piece of card. Have I got a whole piece here? I think I've only got the one that I've been doing my writing onto with the stitch along. Let's just see if I can quickly grab that out. It's got my stitch along details on it, but that's okay, we can just do that. And so I will end up having it something like holding it under like that. So yeah, that will be each side of it. And with the butterflies sort of, yeah, coming up. So I'll position all of that. Whether I'll do any more like little cantha stitching, but I think it's probably fine. And I think these elements have anchored the top fabric down to the sort of base fabric. And I like that it does just have that sense of being able to see through to the design of the plants underneath. So it does have that sense of paper on some pressed flowers. So I'll let you go before we get to the 1 hour mark. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that's given you some inspiration to try your own blackberries and blackberry leaves, and I will see you soon. Bye.